Class 12th, Subject Physics, 13th chapter AC Circuits. From the chapter, let us see the AC voltage applied to an inductor. So here we will consider purely inductive circuit. And so let us consider the inductor of self-inductance L connected to an source of alternating EMF E along with the key K. Let the resistance of this inductor be negligible. Now as soon as the key is closed, the current will be set up in this circuit and that current flows through the inductor L. Let that current be I. Now when the key is closed, at that time current I begins to increase in the inductor because magnetic flux linked with that inductor changes and induced EMF is produced which opposes the applied EMF. The induced EMF across this inductor will oppose this applied EMF according to Faraday's law, that is E equal to minus d phi by dt. And then here we can apply the relation, that is applied EMF, that is the EMF of that source of alternating EMF E will be equal to E0 sine omega t, equation number 1. So this applied EMF E will be given as E is equal to E0 sine omega t. Now according to Lenz's law, the induced EMF E dash will be given as minus L di by dt. So di by dt will represent rate of change of current with respect to time. L is the self-inductance of that coil. Let it be equation number 2. Now to maintain the current flow in the circuit or in that inductor, to maintain the flow of current in the circuit, the applied EMF, this applied EMF must be equal to in magnitude to that of induced EMF, but it will be opposing, therefore it is opposite, and therefore we can say that to maintain the current in that circuit, the applied EMF must be equal and opposite to that of induced EMF. And therefore from first and second equation we can write E is equal to minus E dash, that is applied EMF is equal to and opposite to that of the induced EMF. That will be written as minus of E dash is minus L di by dt, and therefore minus L di by dt. Minus will become plus, and therefore we will get L di by dt. Now from this equation, as E equal to L di by dt, therefore we can write di equal to E by L dt. di is equal to E by L dt. Let it be equation number 3. Now as E equal to this, therefore this will give us very small current, that is very small change in current di, and therefore in order to find the total current we will have to integrate that equation on both sides. So integrating equation number 3 on both sides, we can write integration di, which will give us total current I, that is equal to integration of E by L dt, integration E by L dt. Now that will be written as value of E, that is equal to E0 sine omega t, where E0 represents the peak value of EMF. So E is replaced by E0 sine omega t upon L dt. So this E applied EMF will be sinusoidal, that is E equal to E0 sine omega t, and therefore we will get integration of E0 sine omega t upon L dt. But E0 is the peak value, that is constant, L is the inductor, constant. Therefore these two terms will be taken out of integration, and therefore we will get E0 upon L integration sine omega t dt. So sine omega t dt, its integration is minus cos omega t upon omega, and therefore the total current I we will get as E0 upon L into minus cos omega t upon omega plus constant. So this constant will be the constant of integration, and therefore the constant of integration is time independent. This constant of integration, that is constant, is the time independent and has the same dimensions as that of this I, as it is I plus this term plus constant of integration. Therefore we can say that all these three terms will be having same dimensions, and therefore this constant of integration is having same dimensions as that of the induced current I. Both EMF and current will oscillate about 0. Both EMF and current oscillates about 0, and the constant of integration will be equal to 0. That constant of integration is taken as 0, and therefore as constant of integration is 0, therefore we can write as constant of integration is equal to 0. Therefore total current I will be equal to, this is E0 upon L with minus sign, and therefore we will write minus E0 upon this L and omega will be taken here, therefore minus E0 upon omega L. Now this cos omega t term will be written in the form of sine, that is sine pi by 2 minus omega t, by the formula cos theta. That is, this cos theta will be written as sine of 90 minus theta, and therefore rearranging the terms, now it is negative, so it will now made positive, and therefore we will get I equal to, instead of minus E0 upon omega L, we will write E0 upon omega L, and then these terms will be interchanged, that is sine of omega t minus pi by 2, that is minus sine of pi by 2 minus omega t will be written as sine of omega t minus pi by 2. So this will be written as I is equal to I0 sine omega t minus pi by 2 as equation number 4. In this equation E0 upon omega L, this will give us the peak value of current, that is I0 equal to E0 upon omega L, and therefore we can write I is equal to I0 sine omega t minus pi by 2 as equation number 4. Now if you consider this equation number 4 and this equation number 1, E is equal to E0 sine omega t, that is the applied EMF, and this is the current I0 sine omega t minus pi by 2. So comparing equations 1 and 4, we can conclude that the alternating current I, this alternating current I lags behind, it lags behind the alternating EMF E by a phase angle of pi by 2. That is, the EMF and the current are not in the same phase, but there is a phase difference of pi by 2, and this current will lag behind the EMF by a phase angle of pi by 2, or the voltage across the inductor L will lead the current by a phase angle of pi by 2. So current lags behind EMF by pi by 2, or the EMF leads the current by a phase difference of pi by 2, and therefore the variation, graphical variation of the EMF and the current is as shown. So if we plot the graph of EMF and current against omega t, then there will be a phase difference of pi by 2, that is current lags behind by a phase difference of pi by 2, because 0 to this point it is pi, that is 1/2 cycle, and therefore this point will represent pi by 2. So there is a phase difference of pi by 2 between EMF and current. So this continuous curve will represent the variation of EMF against omega t, and this dotted curve will represent the variation of current against omega t. And therefore from this graph it is clear that the EMF and current are not in the same phase. There is a phase difference of pi by 2 between EMF and current, and this current lags behind this EMF by a phase difference of pi by 2. And now let us consider the phasor diagram for this purely inductive circuit. Phasor diagram for purely inductive circuit. So if we plot again EMF and current against omega t, the phasor of EMF, that is from O to E0, will make some angle omega t with this horizontal axis, and it is rotated in anti-clockwise direction. Similarly, the second phasor for current, that is OI0, this will be rotated in clockwise direction. The angle between the EMF phasor and the current phasor will be equal to 90 degree, and therefore if E0 is the peak value of EMF from origin to E, this will be equal to E0 sin omega t, that is E0, E is equal to E0 sin omega t, and here in this case this portion from O to I0, that will represent I0 sin omega t minus pi by 2, that is there is a phase difference of pi by 2 between the EMF and the current. So this diagram will represent the phasor diagram for purely inductive circuit. And now let us see what is the inductive reactance XL for this purely inductive circuit. What is that? Inductive reactance, that is denoted by XL. The opposing nature of inductor to the flow of alternating current is called as inductive reactance. The opposing nature of inductor to the flow of alternating current is called as the inductive reactance, denoted by XL. Now if you compare the quantity, if you consider this quantity, that is peak value of current I0 equal to E0 upon omega t, comparing this term with Ohm's law, the quantity omega L, that is I is equal to V by R. Ohm's law will be equal to I is equal to E by R or V by R. So this quantity omega L at the denominator will represent the resistance, which is called as the inductive reactance XL. So omega L will be equal to that XL, and therefore we can write XL is equal to omega L is equal to 2 pi FL. So omega is equal to 2 pi F. and therefore XL will be equal to 2 pi FL, where F is the frequency of AC source. So F is the frequency of AC source. From this relation it is clear that the inductive reactance XL is directly proportional to frequency of AC source F. Similarly, the inductive reactance XL is directly proportional to this inductance of that inductor L. Then inductive reactance is directly proportional to inductance L and frequency of AC source. Then the unit of this XL and the dimensions of XL is the same as that of resistance. That means in case of purely resistive circuit, what is the role of that resistance? The same role will be played by this inductive reactance in the purely inductive circuit, and hence the dimensions and the SI unit of this XL is similar to that of resistance. Now in DC circuits, instead of AC circuits, if you consider DC circuits, in case of DC circuits, the frequency of DC is equal to 0, because that frequency F is possessed only by the AC. For DC, F is equal to 0. Now if F is equal to 0, XL will be equal to 0, and therefore from this relation we conclude that a pure inductor offers 0 resistance to DC. The pure inductor offers 0 resistance, that is XL equal to 0, to DC. That is, it cannot reduce DC. It will not oppose DC or reduce DC, and hence the inductors will allow to pass DC and will block AC of very high frequencies. If frequency F is very high, then this reactance, inductive reactance or inductor L, will block AC. In inductive circuit, the self-induced EMF opposes the growth as well as decay of the current. In inductive circuit, the self-induced EMF opposes the growth as well as, that is, increase as well as decrease of the current.